Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Just Another Talk. On this episode, we're just going to be watching some videos about the Carmelo Anthony case. I'm sure by now you probably have heard about him, and it's this young man here on the left hand side. Carmelo Anthony was at a school event. There was a rain delay. He ends up going under one of the tarps that was of the opposing team. A back and forth ensues between Carmelo and one of the Metcalf twins. One thing leads to another, and then Carmelo decides to stab one of the Metcalf twins in the chest. He ends up passing away, of course, and so we're now at the trial basis. But everyone's had their own opinion on what's happened, and I just want to go over a few of them. Obviously, give my opinion. Right now, it's about day 2 of the trial, so I figured, I'd weigh in on some of the things we see online. So let's first start with Tim Pool and what he had to say about the case.
I asked the lawyer himself, are there circumstances where being grabbed in any scenario, like you can imagine one, where lethal force would be justifiable self-defense?
Absolutely. I mean, everyone's asking the wrong question or answering the wrong question. The question again is, did you have a reasonable perception that you were facing an imminent threat of unlawful deadly force harm? If the answer to that is yes, you can use deadly force in self-defense. And there's an infinite number of ways that can happen. If someone just grabs you, are they grabbing you and they have a knife in their other hand? Because that's going to be a bad day for you. Are they grabbing you and they're 200 pounds heavier than you? Bad day for you. That could well be a deadly force threat.
What if they grab you and there's 5 guys all around you?
Sure, then there's a disparity of numbers. Then it's the force of the collective group that's threatening you, not just one individual.
What if they don't touch you at all? Are there circumstances where deadly force is justified?
Yes, of course. If someone comes up to me and opens up their jacket and says, "Give me your wallet," and they show a gun, they haven't touched me. I don't have to suffer a scratch before I can defend myself. I can defend myself against the threat that's about to occur. It's an imminent threat that you're defending yourself against.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it as shockingly and offensive to everybody as I can, as fast as I can. Then I'm going to pause for 5 seconds, and then you're all going to agree with me. I'm talking to the audience. So let me offend you first. Carmelo Anthony will be acquitted. He will be found not guilty.
You think so? Interesting. I wouldn't say I disagree with him, but I think there's also one thing that not very many people are taking into account is the jurors. Can the prosecution, without reasonable doubt, prove that Carmelo Anthony meant to kill Austin Metcalf? Regardless, I wanted to cover some of the things that were going on outside of the trial as well.
Hey, you motherfucker! I don't give a whatever you talking about, lie. Hey, you know it. You. Chimping out, man. Low impulse control. This is the reason why Austin Metcalf is dead. Because this is a response that is told. This is the response they teach their young people to have. This is the response that the mothers, the black mothers in this community. This community does not teach its people to respect personal boundaries.
What does he have on the sign? Oh, he has Charlie Kirk, Austin Metcalf. I think that's the girl who died in the bus. And I don't know who this guy here is on the left. To me, he's just trying to stir up shit. Like, he's not, you're not going to get anything from this. I think both folks on either side are folks who unfortunately are easily manipulated because of their emotions. That's just what I think on both sides. I think anybody reasonable enough is not out in front of the trial protesting or holding up signs or even talking shit about the situation.
It does not teach people to talk with respect, and that's why Austin Metcalf said, because of your failure as black parents. Failures as black parents. Failures as black parents. Teaching the youth to kill.
Look at this.
Mutual combat.
Me and you, mutual combat. What's up?
Now you got me
Yeah, both of them just instigating. Again, just that's what it is. Instigating each other. This one's Carmelo Anthony's defense is falling apart in the murder trial of Austin Metcalf. He might face life in prison if convicted. Okay, let's see why.
Calling it unjustified murder. So Carmelo Anthony is charged with murdering 17-year-old Austin Metcalf after admitting to stabbing him in the chest at a high school track meet last year. Police say the fight started because Anthony was under another team's tent and Metcalf told him to leave. Anthony's defense attorneys say he stabbed Metcalf, who was unarmed, out of fear, as a group was, quote, turning on him. But prosecutors yesterday in court showed jurors surveillance footage they say tells a different story. The footage, it's grainy and shot from a distance, but reporters inside the courtroom tell us it shows a brief confrontation between Anthony and Metcalf, not a larger group, before Anthony runs from the scene. And that fight, it only lasted about 4 minutes or so. Jurors heard
Only 4 minutes.
testimony
That's long
from
as
Metcalf's track coach. He said that Metcalf was helping lead setup efforts that day, which basically means he was in charge of setting up the tent and equipment. The coach testified and said athletes don't just go under other teams' tents. This is something that's understood between the athletes. This case, it's drawn national attention with race becoming a major issue. The final jury does not include any black jurors. Prosecutors say this case has nothing to do with race and it should be decided on the facts. This trial is expected to last up to 2 weeks, Bill, and if he is convicted, Anthony faces up to life in prison.
I think it's funny she says at the end that it has nothing to do with race, but also brings up the fact that there are no black jurors. I think if it really had nothing to do with race, then don't bring up the fact that there are no black jurors. Now, do I think that that's going to affect the ultimate outcome of the case? There is a possibility of that. If I'm going to say that I know that it is, then I'd be lying. You know, I think we need a lot more evidence before, at least I need a lot more evidence before I make up my mind, just say, oh, he's guilty or he's not guilty. Obviously, he's accused of the crime. They know that he did it. And really what needs to be debated is, was there a reasonable assumption that he was actually scared for his life, or was it just out of rage? Because if it was out of rage, then of course he's going to jail, that's for sure. For months, people acted as if Carmelo was unquestionably the aggressor. Now the video appears to show Austin Metcalf initiating the confrontation, and witness statements reportedly corroborate that sequence of events. Okay, let's see what this video has to say.
And this is a minor, a witness that was sitting under the Memorial High pop-up tent with his team near the victim, Austin Metcalf. The suspect, Carmelo Anthony, was from Centennial High and was sitting under the Memorial High tent. Austin told Carmelo that he needed to move out from under their team's tent. Carmelo grabbed his bag, opened it, reached inside, and proceeded to tell Austin, quote, touch me and see what happens. No one really thought Carmelo really had any weapons in his bag, and Austin proceeded to touch Carmelo. Then Carmelo told Austin to punch him and see what happens. A short time later, Austin grabbed Carmelo to tell him to move, and Carmelo pulled out what this witness recalled as a black knife and stabbed Austin once in the chest and then ran away. Let's talk about what that statement means. All sitting on the bleachers under a Memorial High tent when another male he did not know walked over and sat under the tent. That would be Carmelo Anthony. Austin told this male that since he didn't go to Memorial, he had to leave the tent. Austin and the male went back and forth. Then Austin stood up and pushed the male to get him out of the tent. During the time of the arguing, the male was reaching around in the bag that he had. It was at this time that the male took out the knife and stabbed Austin and then left the scene. They're substantially the same, Mark, in terms of what they are saying. There are a few differences, but what's your take on whether or not, from those witness statements at the time that this happened, where do you think the jury would land on a case like this?
You know, it's fun. It's going to be a tough call. And I know that's an easy thing to say. You can't lose if you say you're in the middle. It's going to be a tough call for these reasons. When you actually do an analysis of self-defense, there are different components. You know, the argument that Carmelo Anthony was there and he shouldn't have been there. Well, that's okay, but it's not your bleachers. You don't get to throw people out because of a tent. That's an argument that you're going to see the defense make. Why did the eventual victim in this case decide that it was his role to kick him out? And then
or put his hands on him,
tussling back and forth. And then, unfortunately, Mr. Metcalf did seemingly start the fight, so to speak, right? He was what we might call the aggressor, and pushing him out or grabbing him and touching him. So under Florida law and also Texas law, and when you're the aggressor, when you first start the fight, so to speak, you may lose the protection. If it was Carmelo who started, Carmelo Anthony. Now we get to say shifted because if Metcalf was the one who started the fight, Now, can Anthony respond to defend himself? We know he can. And then, as was mentioned a moment ago, are you supposed to bring a knife to a fist fight? No. You're supposed to bring a gun to a fist fight? Absolutely not. But if you're there and starting to get attacked, which is what the defense is going to say, can you defend yourself? And what they're going to say is, Anthony doesn't need to wait until the first nasty strike, the first injury. He can presuppose what might happen, and he's allowed to defend himself.
Yeah, I agree with Mark over here. He's making some sense. I think Tim Pool is right. I do think he will be acquitted, and I'm hesitant to say that only because I'm curious what background the jurors were selected are from. Right? They said they had no black jurors, but does that mean there are no Hispanic jurors? Does that mean that there are no jurors mixed race possibly? From what I know, and this is super early, I'm not saying this is what it is. From what I've seen so far, I don't know if Carmelo will be found guilty. Maybe something develops in the next week or two that changes my perspective, but as of right now, I don't know. I don't think so. If you don't think Carmelo Anthony is guilty, you are either dumb or racist towards white people. Really? Yeah, that's a wild thought process. You're immediate. Okay, bud. All right. So this is Savannah Hernandez interviewing someone outside of the courtroom where the trial is going on in Texas. Let's see what this lady has to say.
If evidence does come out that Carmelo was not in fact fighting for his life when he stabbed and killed Austin Metcalf, do you think that the black community will accept that?
If evidence shows that he did not, no, we're going to stand by ours regardless. They stand by theirs. We're going to stand by ours regardless. I'm a mother first.
What does that mean, though? You're going to do something about it? Or, I would preface that question by, like, what part of the black community? Are we talking about the part who is reasonable, sensible, follows the law? Are we talking about that part? Or are we talking about the folks who, for lack of a better term, can be extremely ignorant about anything and everything and really show black people as a monolith? What part of the black community are you talking about when you say, will they accept it? Because there's some folks in the black community who won't accept anything, even when they're in the wrong.
I'm a black mother. Let me put that on there. I'm an African-American mother. So I have to put away my color first and step into the motherhood. Nobody wants to see their child slain.
That's the first thing you brought up.
I do want to send prayers to Austin Metcalf, their family. But at the end of the day, I got to think like, okay, what did you do to them or whatever to cause this to happen, the reaction? We got to start taking accountability for our kids. Because then again, if my kid, that's why it's a catch-22, if my kid was Carmelo and I feel like his back was up against the wall, well, I'm going to tell you straight up, better mine than yours.
So you're not taking accountability. It was a fight. And I said this, I made a video about this a while back. I said it. I'm like, bro, why stab him? Just fight him. You might lose the fight. That's fine. You live to fight another day. She's all over the place.
Better mine than yours. So either way it go, everybody loses. A black boy allegedly murdered, and I say allegedly, heavy on the allegedly murdered somebody. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, this is about race. Because if the shoe was on the other foot, they wouldn't give a damn.
Who wouldn't give a damn?
Good question.
Let me say this.
Yeah, how you gonna say it?
The community.
Oh, white people?
So if Carmelo Anthony was the one stabbed and killed by Austin Metcalf,
they wouldn't give a damn.
I come out here every Thursday and we pray for people going to court because we know this is the final frontier of racism. And it's legalized here.
Of course.
It was announced yesterday that there's no black jurors that were chosen. What are your thoughts on that?
That's why we need God. That's why we need God, and that's why he's going to show who's in control.
And would you be open to giving us your personal insights into the Carmelo Anthony trial and what your thoughts are on it?
I just want justice done. We know nobody go to a track meet to murder anybody, okay? Come on. That's an accident, self-defense, that's what it was. I'm not saying the kid should get off free, but first degree murder,
what are you saying?
Come on. Basically,
because you're all over the place. See, I feel like both of these folks, first off, two very horrible interviews. They're both talking out of the side of their mouth. The lady's like, oh, we need to have accountability. But then again, if it was up to me and that was my kid, I'd rather it be their kid than my kid. Like, what? So do you want accountability for your actions or do you not? What are we talking here? And then Same thing with him. I just want justice. Okay, well, justice might dictate that Carmelo Anthony gets locked away for life. Are you okay with that? Or are you going to call that racism too?
He's facing the wrong charge for the crime that was committed.
Let's go back real quick because I want to hear that.
Basically, he facing, I'm not saying the kid should get off free, but
okay.
First degree murder? Come on. Basically, he's facing the wrong charge for the crime that was committed.
Do you think Carmelo is innocent?
Do
you feel like it's been an unfair response to what happened to Carmelo Anthony?
I feel that the justice system always over-respond when it comes to us. So definitely, I mean, you look at the charge. It was self-defense. He was wrestling with two guys. I don't know what the parameters of it, but it was two people. So, 2 against 1, that's self-defense.
We don't know if it was 2 against 1. I haven't seen that at least. But where I do agree with him is where he says that's the wrong charge. I don't think they're going to get to convict him for first-degree murder. Let's see. I think this is a similar story, if I'm not mistaken. Justin Kaysen Allison found not guilty after fatally stabbing Joe Ramirez during a school fight. He walked free after using a knife in a mutual brawl. Meanwhile, Carmelo Anthony defended himself from an aggressive attacker, and he's still fighting charges. Okay. Make it make sense. Let's see. Let's see what this one's about.
This noon hour out of Bell County, where a jury has reached a verdict just about an hour ago in the trial of Kaysen Allison. We know a lot of you have been following this very closely. Allison was accused of fatally stabbing Joe Ramirez at Belton High School back in 2022. After several hours of deliberation, the jury found Allison not guilty of murder in the death of Ramirez, but guilty of criminally negligent homicide. News 10's Isabella Quintanilla is joining us now live from outside the Bell County Justice Center, where she has been following this trial
so that's
since
not
last
scot-free.
week. Isabella, what can you tell us?
Yeah, that's right, Julie. It has been a long couple of days with the jurors deliberating for nearly 11 hours in total, and many people anxiously awaited the verdict. And as you can imagine, emotions were extremely high as they waited. Even before the jury came in, the entire courtroom was tense, with people on both sides of the court looking both nervous and already getting emotional. As the deputy read the verdict to the defense, there were gasps of shock and relief from both sides. And when walking out, the anger and frustration among Joe Ramirez's family and friends was clear, with one person throwing a water bottle against a wall and another screaming as they walked out of the building. We did hear from Allison's defense attorney, Zachary Boyd, who says this was a hard case, but that they're relieved by the outcome.
This case has been accompanied with threats against Kaysen Allison, against Kaysen Allison's family, against the defense team. You felt that tension in the courtroom. We have continually requested people to keep an eye out, people to investigate, and I'm just thankful that the Bell County Sheriff's Office has taken it so seriously and taken everyone's safety seriously. Kaysen's family, the juries.
Allison has been released under his bond conditions, which will stay in place until his sentencing hearing on June 16th. Now, depending on what Judge Falconer decides, Allison could face 6 months to 2 years in a state jail. Reporting live in Belton, Isabella Quintanilla, KWTX News.
Wow. Almost same scenario. A school fight between two boys. One boy stabs another boy. The boy that is stabbed, passes away. This is the first I'm hearing of Kaysen's story. I didn't even know that this had happened. Apparently happened in 2022. Let's go ahead and look up an article on it real quick. So Kaysen Allen was sentenced to 10 years in prison Tuesday for the deadly stabbing of Joe Ramirez, making the conclusion of a high-profile case that has deeply impacted the Belton community. Emotional testimony, visible grief. I just want to see what happened. The judge later found deadly weapon used. Allison was convicted of criminally negligent homicide by a jury in April following the death of fellow student Joe Ramirez at Belton High. A judge later found that a deadly weapon was used or exhibited during the incident, which expanded the maximum sentence for Allison. So on the morning of May 3rd, 2022, a fight broke out between Allison and Ramirez in a bathroom in Belton High. After the stabbing happened, Allison, who was 18 years old at the time, left the school, which led to campus being placed on precautionary lockdown. That's crazy work. So yeah, I mean, cases are kind of similar, also a little bit different, kind of similar with both boys, obviously passing away. So I mean, off of that case, it doesn't look too good for Carmelo. I'm wondering if they can choose to charge him with a lesser crime or change the charge at any point in time. Because again, I don't think that he'll be convicted of actual first degree. I think that's a bit excessive. For now, let's see what happens. I really want to know what you guys think. Do you think that Carmelo is going to be convicted? Do you think he'll get off? Or do you think the charges will be changed? Let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment.